The stars were not kind that night. On the small, dying planet of Virelia, the sky shimmered with streaks of green and gold. But the beauty could not hide the fear below. Cities that had once flourished with music, light, and laughter now stood broken and silent. Smoke curled from shattered towers, and the rivers ran thin and poisoned. The Virelians had called their leaders together in the Great Dome, a place of knowledge and history, to make a choice they had avoided for too long. "Time is gone," said High Scientist Valrix, his voice trembling with both anger and exhaustion. "Our medicine cannot stop it. Our defenses are useless. We are dying." Around him, the Council of Elders murmured. Virelia's plague was unlike anything they had ever faced. It was not just sickness. It was a creeping, intelligent corruption that twisted the planet's life. Plants shriveled before bearing fruit. Animals became hostile and unrecognizable. Even the air seemed to burn the lungs of anyone who dared breathe too deeply. A younger council member, Lyra, spoke. Her eyes were wide, and her tone carried desperation. "We have sent messages to our neighboring worlds. None have responded. If we want to survive, we must send a signal to the stars. Beyond our galaxy, beyond anything we know. We must ask for angels." "Angels," Valrix repeated, disbelief in his voice. "There are no angels in the cosmos, Lyra. Only predators, explorers, and those who survive by taking what they can." "I do not care what they are," Lyra said firmly. "We cannot wait for miracles. We must hope." And so, the message was crafted. A single, urgent signal, carrying the last prayers of a species. It traveled faster than light, stretching through the void, seeking beings capable of great power, wisdom, and mercy. The Virelians' plea was simple yet desperate. "Send us your angels. Save us, or we are gone." Meanwhile, light years away, aboard the starship Horizon's Edge, Captain Elara Kane reviewed the incoming message. Humanity had grown accustomed to receiving requests from distant worlds. Most were routine. Trade agreements, scientific collaboration, or minor skirmishes over territory. But this was different. The signal carried a kind of raw terror humans rarely encountered. It was desperate, trembling, a scream that seemed to echo in the silence of space. Elara leaned forward, studying the patterns of the message. Her team gathered around the communication console, scanning the data. "Where is this coming from?" asked Lieutenant Morrow, a calm and analytical officer. "Coordinates are outside the Solana cluster," Elara replied. "They're calling for help. Something that doesn't exist, at least by their description." "Angels. Angels," Morrow echoed, skepticism in his voice. "We've got the usual fighters, medics, engineers, but no angels." Elara's lips tightened. "Then we'll send the next best thing. Humanity." She stood, the weight of the decision settling over her shoulders. Humanity did not send angels. Humanity sent people who could adapt, survive, and conquer impossible odds. That was how they had thrived, scattered across the stars, defying every expectation, every danger, and every limit. The Council of Human Colonies debated the message. Some argued it was a trap, that unknown civilizations could be dangerous. Others believed it was an opportunity to demonstrate humanity's strength and ingenuity. After long hours of discussion, they reached a decision. A team would be dispatched. Elara was chosen to lead it. By the time Horizon's Edge approached the Virelian system, the aliens were already watching the skies. Their large, multifaceted eyes, reflecting fear and hope in equal measure. When the human ship emerged from hyperspace, it was not the glowing, delicate angel the Virelians imagined. It was massive, dark, and imposing. A machine built for survival. When Elara and her team descended, the first Virelians they encountered gasped. They had expected light beings, shining saviors who spoke without effort, whose presence healed and inspired. Instead, they saw humans in reinforced suits, carrying strange devices that hummed with power, moving with a confidence that bordered on aggression. One elder, trembling, whispered to Lyra, "They are demons." Elara heard the words and did not flinch. "We are here to help," she said, her voice calm but firm. "We do not come to judge, only to act. Tell me what must be done." The Varelians hesitated. They did not understand humans. To them, strength and fearlessness were terrifying, but they had no choice. Their survival depended on accepting help, even if it arrived in an unexpected form. The humans quickly assessed the planet. It was worse than any report had suggested. The plague had reshaped the land. Entire forests had withered, replaced by twisted growths that exhaled toxic gases. Cities were crumbling under the weight of disease and neglect. The human engineers began deploying drones to analyze the atmosphere. Medics set up mobile treatment centers. Soldiers moved through the streets, neutralizing areas of contamination with precision and care. Captain Kane led from the front. She walked among the ruins with a determined stride, her team following closely. The Virelians watched in disbelief as humans moved through hazards that would have killed any native life. They worked fast, improvising solutions with whatever they found, adapting alien technology to human methods, building devices in hours that would have taken Virelians months. "You fight like you are possessed," one Virelian scientist murmured to Lyra. Lyra shook her head. "No. It is their courage. They see danger and act anyway." By the end of the first week, humans had stabilized several districts. They created filtration systems to clean the air, neutralized pockets of the plague, and provided treatment for thousands of infected Virelians. But the plague was not passive. It reacted. The moment humans adapted a strategy, the corruption shifted, mutating faster than anyone expected. Creatures twisted from once benign animals attacked repair teams. Storms intensified, carrying spores that destroyed anything they touched. The Virelians began to panic again, questioning whether humans could truly be their salvation. Elara observed the chaos calmly. She turned to Morrow and said, "It adapts. That is expected. We adapt faster. Humanity does not back down from change. That is our strength." The Virelians could only watch. Their idea of angels had been of gentle, serene beings who brought peace. Humans were far from that. They were loud, messy, and relentless, using every tool and trick they had to survive and protect others. To the aliens, they seemed like demons, but demons who could conquer death itself. One evening, after a particularly grueling day of work, Elara climbed a hill overlooking a decimated city. The smoke and fog painted the ruins in gray and gold. Lyra joined her silently. "Do you know why I feared humans at first?" Lyra asked, her voice quiet. Elara tilted her head. "Because you expected angels?" Lyra nodded. "Yes. We prayed for light. We hoped for peace. But humans are fire. Terrible. Relentless fire. How can that be a blessing?" Elara smiled faintly. "Fire burns, yes. But it also illuminates. Fire clears dead growth, makes room for new life. You will see. You may have called us demons, but we are here to save your people." Lyra stared at the stars, trying to reconcile the fear in her heart with the hope that humans carried. Meanwhile, the plague continued to spread. One night, a sudden tremor shook the city. A previously safe area of the hospital collapsed. Humans and Virelians worked together to rescue those trapped, moving as one unstoppable force. Where Virelians hesitated, humans acted decisively, risking their lives to save others. By dawn, the trapped had been rescued, and the damage contained. It was a turning point. The Virelians began to realize that these demons were not merely destructive. They were brave, cunning, and willing to face death for others. Their methods were frightening, yes, but effective, and slowly, the alien hearts that had feared humanity began to trust it. Elara stood once more at the city center, overlooking the rebuilding work. "We are not angels," she said. "We do not offer comfort, we offer action. And sometimes, that is what the universe needs most." Lyra nodded, understanding at last. Humanity might not have been what they imagined, but perhaps it was exactly what they needed. By the end of the first part, humanity had begun to reshape the battle against the plague. The Varelians were learning to follow their methods, not through fear, but through admiration and respect. Yet, the real challenge was only beginning. The plague was evolving faster than anyone expected, hinting at a larger, hidden threat. Humanity had brought its demons to fight, and the galaxy was about to see exactly what those demons could do. The sun rose slowly over the poisoned landscapes of Virelia, painting the clouds in shades of orange and gray. Captain Alara Kane stood at the edge of the city's central square, her gaze sweeping over the ruins. Smoke curled from broken buildings, but human drones moved steadily, scanning the air and repairing what they could. The Virelians, once terrified of human presence, now watched with cautious curiosity. Alara turned to her team. "Today, we go deeper. We cannot stay at the edges while the plague spreads unchecked. We will adapt, fight, and push forward. Nothing will stop us. Not disease, not storms, not fear." Lieutenant Morrow nodded. "The terrain is worsening. Toxic pockets have tripled overnight. The plague is evolving faster than we predicted." Alara's jaw tightened. "Then we evolve faster. Humanity survives by solving problems others avoid. Let's show them what that means." The humans moved into the heart of the plague zone. Their suits filtered the poisoned air, and their boots crushed the twisted, hostile flora that had begun to overrun the city streets. Every step was dangerous. Mutated creatures prowled through fog and shadow, their eyes glowing with alien intelligence. Yet, humans pushed forward, their movements coordinated, precise, and unafraid. The Virelians followed at a distance, trembling, yet inspired. They whispered among themselves, calling the humans demons not in hate, but in awe. Where the aliens had hesitated, humans charged. Where the aliens had feared, humans acted. A Virelian scientist, Othar, whispered to Lyra, "I do not understand them. They do not feel fear like us. They do not hesitate, yet they do not rush blindly. It is terrifying." Lyra nodded. "It is what we prayed for. Not angels, but something stronger. Something willing to fight for us." Deep in the ruined city, a new threat emerged. The plague had begun to mutate not only the life forms but the very terrain. Streets shifted, buildings crumbled without warning, and the ground itself seemed alive. One moment it was solid. The next, it was covered in spongy growths that released toxic spores. Alara adjusted her visor and signaled her team. "Divide into squads. Contain what you can. Everyone else, prepare for extraction if conditions worsen." The humans moved with a mix of efficiency and daring. Engineers deployed mobile platforms, using their tools to stabilize crumbling buildings. Medics followed immediately, treating the infected with nanotech solutions that repaired cells faster than anything the Virelians had developed. Soldiers cleared hostile zones, their movements swift and calculated, often putting themselves in harm's way to ensure civilians could escape. A Virelian child, hiding behind a crumbling wall, watched in fascination as a human soldier lifted a fallen beam to free trapped citizens. The human smiled, nodded, and continued on. The child whispered to his mother, "They are demons, but they are our demons." The first major breakthrough came when the humans discovered the origin point of the plague within the city. A once beautiful garden, now transformed into a writhing mass of disease, pulsated with alien life. Plants had grown into towering structures, their roots spreading through the soil and streets alike, releasing spores that poisoned everything in their path. Ilara studied the mass. "This is the core," she said. "If we can neutralize it, The rest of the city will recover faster. But it is dangerous. We will need to use everything we have. Morrow adjusted his equipment. Our drones can map it, but the terrain is unstable. We'll need human teams to enter and contain it manually. Our drones cry, 200. 200. Then we go, Ilara replied. No hesitation. The humans entered the heart of the plague. The air was thick with spores, burning their lungs even through filtered suits. The ground shifted beneath them, roots wrapping around ankles, threatening to pull them into the writhing mass. Yet they moved forward, cutting and stabilizing, deploying countermeasures that neutralized the toxins. The Virelians observed from a safe distance, their fear gradually turning into admiration. They had begged the stars for gentle saviors, for beings of light and calm. Instead, they saw humans fierce, unpredictable, relentless, and they realized something profound. These demons were exactly what their world needed. Why do they risk so much? Othar asked Lyra, unable to hide his amazement. Lyra shook her head. Because they value life. Every life. And they refuse to stand by while others suffer. That is humanity. As the core of the plague was contained, another danger appeared. From the sky, storm clouds thickened unnaturally, and lightning struck the poisoned terrain. It was as if the planet itself resisted their intervention. Mutated creatures emerged in waves, more coordinated than before. The humans fought back with a combination of weapons, strategy, and ingenuity. Ilara led a squad through a particularly dangerous area. Stick to formation. Use the drones for support. The team moved with fluid precision. Soldiers deployed automated barriers. Engineers rerouted energy to neutralize toxins. And medics moved in to save those infected. In every movement, the humans adapted faster than the threats evolved. Their actions were not random. They were calculated, daring, and almost impossible to anticipate. One Virelian scientist said, almost in awe. They are dancing with death, and death cannot touch them. Days passed, and the humans began to turn the tide. Entire districts were stabilized. The Virelians, inspired by their actions, started to help more actively. They observed human methods, learned their strategies, and began to adapt. For the first time in months, there was hope. Yet, the plague continued to evolve. It became clear that it was not a natural phenomenon. Some element of intelligence seemed to drive it, adapting to human interventions with remarkable speed. Ilara realized they were facing a greater challenge than mere disease. This is no accident, she said during a briefing. Something or someone is behind this, and they are watching us. We must prepare for more than containment. We must prepare for confrontation. The Virelians looked uneasy. They had assumed that humans were powerful enough to fix any problem. But the realization that a hidden enemy might be controlling the plague shook them. Ilara smiled faintly. Do not fear. Humanity does not run from challenges. We adapt, improvise, and fight. That is how we survive. That is why we are here. To counter the evolving plague, the humans combined their technology with the Virelians' knowledge. Engineers adapted alien machinery to human designs, creating hybrid tools capable of neutralizing the mutating organisms. Medics developed combined treatments that accelerated the cure's effectiveness. Soldiers coordinated attacks with precision, using strategies that leveraged both species' strengths. The collaboration was remarkable. The Virelians had never seen such coordinated effort, such creativity under pressure. Where humans saw problems, they saw opportunities. Where the Virelians feared failure, humans saw nothing but the next step. Ilara moved through the city, personally supervising operations. She saved civilians from collapsing structures, directed teams through hazardous zones, and risked her life repeatedly. The Virelians began to see a pattern. These demons were not reckless. They were fearless, intelligent, and dedicated to protecting others. One night, after a long day of fighting the plague, Ilara climbed to the top of a damaged tower. The city below was partially illuminated by the work of human drones, and Varelian lights. Lyra joined her. "They do not stop," Lyra said softly. "Even when everything seems lost, they keep going. How can they do this?" Alara looked at the stars. "Because we refuse to give up. Because we do not measure our strength by fear. We measure it by action. We adapt. We fight. And we survive. That is humanity." Lyra nodded slowly. For the first time, she felt something she had never felt before. Confidence. If these humans were willing to risk everything, perhaps Virelia could be saved. The humans' progress was relentless. Each success inspired more Virelians to participate. They repaired buildings, treated the sick, and learned human strategies for survival. The city began to resemble life again, slowly pushing back the plague's influence. Yet, the threat was far from over. The plague was mutating faster than ever, and hints of a larger force behind it were becoming clear. Alara knew that their next steps would require even greater courage, ingenuity, and teamwork. "This is just the beginning," she said to her team. "The real fight is coming. We will face it together. Humanity does not surrender. We will adapt. We will overcome. And we will save this world. A-team. We will save this world. A-team. A-team. A-team 74. A-team." The Virelians, witnessing the humans' unyielding resolve, finally understood. These demons, terrifying as they seemed, were the saviors they had begged the stars for. Humanity's courage and ingenuity were not just a gift. They were a force that could defy the impossible. As night fell over the city, the stars shone brighter than ever. For the first time in centuries, Virelia felt hope, and humanity, relentless and fearless, stood ready to face whatever the galaxy would throw at them next. The skies above Virelia were darker than ever. Storms churned violently, lightning splitting the clouds as if the planet itself resisted the humans' intervention. Yet, Captain Alara Kane and her team stood unshaken. Humanity did not fear storms. Humanity thrived in chaos. "The plague's evolution is unnatural," Alara said to her team, standing at the edge of a massive crater that had once been the heart of the city. "It is controlled. Someone is orchestrating this, and I intend to find out who." Lieutenant Morrow adjusted his equipment, scanning the skies. "Energy readings suggest an intelligent source. We are not just fighting disease. We are fighting a strategy." Alara's eyes narrowed. "Then, we must be smarter than the strategist. Prepare for full deployment. We will show them what humanity can do." The humans moved quickly. Their drones scanned the environment, detecting pockets of corruption and mapping hazards. Engineers deployed adaptive machinery, neutralizing toxic zones. Medics followed, providing rapid treatments to the infected. Soldiers moved with precision, clearing areas of mutated creatures with minimal risk to civilians. The Virelians watched from a safe distance. Their fear of humans had long transformed into respect and awe. These were no gentle angels. They were demons of action, relentless in their mission, fearless against impossible odds. Yet, it was exactly what their dying world needed. Othar, the scientist, whispered to Lyra, "I understand now. Angels may inspire, but humans act. They do not wait. They do not falter. That is why they survive." Lyra nodded. "We begged for angels, but we received something far greater." Following the energy patterns, the humans discovered the source of the plague, a rogue alien faction from a distant star system. Seeking to dominate weaker civilizations, they had engineered the disease to manipulate entire worlds, testing the limits of life and resistance. Alara studied the readings. "They underestimated humanity," she said. "They assumed we would observe, hesitate, or negotiate. They do not know us. They do not know how far we will go to protect life." A plan was quickly formed. Humans would use the rogue faction's overconfidence against them. The enemy relied on predictable strategies, perfect logic, and calculated movements. Humanity, however, thrived on unpredictability, improvisation, and daring. It was time to exploit that advantage. The first stage of the plan involved creating diversions. Human drones moved in complex patterns, drawing the attention of enemy probes. Soldiers disguised as Varelians infiltrated key zones, sabotaging communication networks. Engineers adapted alien technology to create shields and traps, protecting human and Varelian teams alike. The rogue aliens responded quickly, but their rigid strategies could not adapt to human ingenuity. Every human move was unexpected, forcing the enemy to constantly adjust. Where they planned, humans improvised. Where they hesitated, humans acted. Alara directed operations from the front, moving through the battlefield with calm confidence. She rescued trapped civilians, rerouted energy from collapsing systems, and guided her teams with a mix of precision and daring. The Virelians followed, learning courage from humans, participating in the fight for their own survival. One particularly dangerous zone contained a massive tower, the source of an energy signal amplifying the plague. Mutated creatures guarded it, and the structure itself was unstable, threatening to collapse at any moment. Enter with caution, Alara instructed. We neutralize the source, then withdraw. No unnecessary risks. Her team moved as one, cutting through the creatures with coordinated efficiency. Engineers stabilized the tower's base, while medics ensured no one was injured. Despite the chaos, humans acted calmly, balancing risk with effectiveness. The Virelians observed from a distance, hearts pounding. Every move the humans made seemed impossible, yet nothing stopped them. Othar whispered. They are like fire in the dark. Terrifying, but necessary. As the humans reached the top of the tower, Alara deployed a device designed to reverse the plague's core energy. The device required precise timing and coordination. Any mistake could trigger a catastrophic backlash, destroying the city and everyone inside. Stand ready, Alara said. Once this starts, there is no turning back. We either succeed, or we fail spectacularly. Her team moved into position. Engineers activated the device, and a soft hum filled the air. The energy from the tower began to pulse, rippling through the city. The mutated creatures froze, their connection to the plague disrupted. Then the rogue aliens intervened, sending waves of energy to stop the humans. Alara raised her hand. Predictable. Always predictable. She directed her soldiers to create interference patterns, forcing the aliens to miscalculate. Engineers adjusted the device in real time, compensating for the enemy's countermeasures. Medics and support teams protected civilians caught in the blasts. Slowly, the tower's energy shifted. The plague's mutation began to reverse. Plants wilted less aggressively. Toxic clouds receded. Mutated creatures returned to their natural forms. The rogue aliens, realizing their strategy was failing, sent a strike team to eliminate the humans directly. Alara anticipated this. Prepare for close combat, she said. We will show them that humans do not retreat. Soldiers met the enemy with a combination of tactical skill and daring improvisation. The fight was fierce, but humans adapted faster than the aliens could predict. They used the terrain to their advantage, created unexpected traps, and leveraged hybrid technology to counterattacks. The Virelians were astonished. These humans, whom they had called demons, were capable of confronting a superior force and prevailing through sheer ingenuity, courage, and coordination. They began to fight alongside them, inspired by the humans' example. After hours of relentless battle, the rogue alien strike team was defeated. The tower's device completed its work, neutralizing the plague completely. Virelia's cities, while damaged, began to recover. Rivers ran cleaner, plants grew again, and the sky cleared of toxic clouds. Alara looked over the city, exhaustion heavy in her body but pride stronger. We did it, she said. Not angels. Not miracles. Humanity. That is what saved this world. Lyra approached, her eyes wide with awe. You are demons, she said quietly, but you are also our saviors. Alara smiled. Sometimes, The demons are the angels in disguise. The rogue aliens retreated, realizing they had underestimated humans. They had expected fear, hesitation, or surrender. Instead, they faced creativity, courage, and adaptability that no calculation could overcome. Humanity had rewritten the rules of engagement not just for survival, but for victory. The Virelians, witnessing the full scope of human determination, finally understood. Angels were symbols of hope, but humans were living proof that hope could be made real through action, courage, and relentless will. They had begged the stars for angels, but humanity's demons had given them life. In the weeks that followed, humans helped Virelia rebuild. The cities slowly returned to vibrant life. Drones and machines repaired infrastructure. Medics trained Virelians in new techniques to prevent future disasters. Soldiers taught defense strategies, not for war, but for protection and survival. The Virelians, once passive and fearful, learned to act boldly. They adapted human methods to their culture, combining ingenuity with tradition. Humanity's presence had not only saved them but transformed their perspective. They no longer waited for miracles, they learned to create them. Ilara stood atop a newly rebuilt tower, looking at the horizon. The Virelians were rebuilding their homes, planting new crops, and caring for the sick. Children played in the streets without fear. Life returned, stronger and more resilient than before. Maro joined her. "Do you think they will see us the same way now?" Ilara nodded. "They will. Fear has turned into respect. Doubt has turned into trust. And hope. Hope has returned." She looked at the stars above. Humanity had brought its demons across the void, and they had proven that courage, ingenuity, and unyielding will were stronger than any plague, any enemy, or any odds. The Virelians had begged for angels, and in response, the galaxy had seen humanity in its truest form: fierce, clever, and unstoppable. Demons to some, saviors to others. Humans had shown that survival, protection, and action were the greatest powers of all. And as the stars glittered above Virelia, the humans prepared for their next journey, ready to face any challenge the universe could throw at them, knowing that where others saw demons, life itself could be saved.